And welcome. I actually don't know exactly how this is going to show up. Let me shift this. So, but we'll go with the flow, as always, because that is who we are. But I wanted to come through and just share a little bit more insights, a little bit more perspectives, a little bit more codes on this really big, mega, super duper transition of Saturn and Saturn leaving Pisces and entering Aries, which will be set for tomorrow. But these energies have already been climbing up the charts. We've been feeling at some level, in some way, all of these different changes. And the other day when I was talking about this, it was funny because I mentioned something along the lines of, "Oh yeah, this transition will last a couple years." Well, no, actually, it lasts almost 30 years. So it's a really big deal. And even right now, I was brushing my teeth, and I did not realize that Saturn being in Pisces is actually a really big deal for me. And Saturn moving into Aries is even a bigger deal for me, as I've been kind of looking at my own like astral chart and looking at more of, my positions and stuff. I wasn't as conscious about all of this because there's so much, and there's so much to open up to. But within the last couple of years, it's been more and more, excuse me, important. I've been getting the call to like look at this a little bit more, look at your placement, look at your chart, look at all your houses and stuff. So I'm learning that as I go, little by little. Oopsies. Hi. You got kitties again. Let's look at a little bit about how Saturn, okay, so Saturn comes into Aries tomorrow, the 24th of May, 2025. And then it goes back into Pisces, I believe September. And this is a very important energy to open up to, because this is similar to what sometimes happens at some level. Hi. We move into different realities. We move into different locations, or we focus on certain things, right? But then we're always guided to go into that retrospect, going deeper within ourselves, right? Going deeper into the things that have been activated through that experience. And we're not going backwards. A lot of us, the mind gets caught up in, oh my God, I'm going backwards. I'm behind. I should be here. Why aren't I? Why am I not there yet? And so remember that the energy that is perceived to going back, it's just a kind of a slowing down. It's kind of like when planets go retrograde, which, by the way, I mean, I don't know if you know this. I didn't know this until much later. Planets don't actually go backwards. So actually, I guess one of the reasons why we call them retrograde is because it's an opportunity for us to kind of go back, like into a retrospection of some sort, and go deeper inward. It's kind of, I feel like that may be the reason why we call it a retrograde, because the planet itself does not go backwards. So really feeling into this, there is really no way for us to go backwards. Hi, welcome. I wasn't sure this was going to like pop up live in the feed or not. It's just a perception. It's kind of like this optical illusion of things spinning backwards, hence like the planets going backwards, taking those, going backwards, but sometimes we have to go back, right? Take those steps back to get, you know, have a better, get a better view of things, right? Have a bigger, see the bigger picture. Like if you are looking at a painting, right, and you're only like an inch away from it, can't really see it as well, or you can only see so much, right? You have to step back. You have to step back and in order for you to see the bigger picture, right? So this is kind of how this is how this energy works. We get an opportunity to take those steps back so that we can see things from a different angle, so we can see things from this wider view, wider perspective. We go deeper within ourselves to see, to feel. And a lot of it is to kind of reevaluate. Reevaluate our steps, reevaluate our choices, reevaluate, is this really what we need and what we want? And a lot of what has come through for me recently, or I say recently, but this might have been like, you know, years or so, a couple of years, is really looking at myself and really looking at my motives, right, my intentions. And allow yourself to really be open to this. This is where the polarity effect can really assist you. Taking that step back so you can go both directions and see both sides of you. Okay. Why am I doing this particular thing, or why do I want something in my reality? And looking at it from the soul side, the intention behind the soul, right? It needs this and it wants this because it will help it expand. And yet that same choice can be also seen from the ego, from the lower self, okay? The lower self has its own intentions, and it's really, really important to open up to those two and really look at those. Right? The ego, the lower self mind might want this same thing for XY reason, right? For the applaud, for the show, for the instant gratification, for etc. All of these different things. So you and I must be always willing to look at both sides of the spectrum, to see and to feel this, okay? Just because, and as you continue to open up and realize, yeah, there's a little bit of ego here, I can see, hi, you wanna come up here? You wanna come up here? See if she jumps. There she is. When you start to see, oh, even if whatever you choose may still be within that soul need and soul want, we always, always, always need to continually see things from the opposite end. Because there will always be this lower self side that wants the same thing but for different purposes. And it's really, really important to open up to that, because we're so one-sided. It's the either this or it's either or. Can't be both. And it's never or, it's always and. It's always going to be the soul aspect that wants this and needs this, but there's always going to be a lower self involved that actually wants kind of the same thing, but for completely different reasons, completely opposite reasons. And so opening yourself up so that you can feel this. It doesn't make you bad, it doesn't make you wrong, it makes you conscious. And this is such a huge, huge, huge part of this process. So again, Saturn will be going into that retrospection in like September. And then we'll have about, what is it, September, October, November. I want to say September. Don't quote me again, but I want to say that I remember it said September. And then we'll have about 4 or 5 months or so, give or take, before it goes back into Aries. And it'll stay there for almost 30 years. Right? Well, that's quite a while. Allow yourself to go with the flow and allow yourself to flow with the changes. And everyone's going to be different. Okay, what part of me will say is go with the flow and don't rush into things. However, if the soul is saying you gotta put the pedal to the metal and don't think about this too much, just go for it. Just really allow yourself to kind of push through, then do that. Okay, everything that I share and everything that that comes through is relative. Everything at some level is relative because it depends on you, it depends on your energy, it depends on where you are. It depends on what program you're also breaking. Okay. I realized, and I keep realizing this comes through for me quite frequently. Welcome. I don't know how this works anymore. What comes through has come through for me is the pattern breaking of the pattern. Say hi. Pattern breaking. And realizing that everything is about the shifting in patterns. Really take a moment and give yourself the opportunity to look at just how many patterns we live from. Which, by the way, it's a lot. Everything becomes this pattern. Everything becomes kind of this comfort zone that we create so unconsciously at some level for the ego, for the lower self to reside in, because we're actually very, very afraid to let that go. It's our identity, it's part of our persona, it's part of who we feel we are at some level, and so it continually keeps on a lot of patterns. And I always say, and I've shared this before at some level, if you can see yourself doing the same thing more than once, in the same way, at the same time, or in the same, same order, really, really feel that. And open yourself so that you can consciously kind of break out of that, right? Like, do it a little bit different. It can be just one tiny little thing that you change. Doesn't matter. What matters is that you become a little more conscious of it so that you can open your mind to doing it a little bit different. Right? So that okay. This is why sometimes I say things and I go with the flow, but right now what came through is the reason I'm talking about patterns, and the reason I'm talking about this is because the energy of Saturn, like the old energy of Saturn, is all about the structure. It's all about keeping things in very straight boxes, right? Very linear, in a very linear order, very like 3D. 3D structure, 3D systems, 3D programs, all of that energy is held within it's held within every single, held within every energy, and it's held within all planets, but the planet of Saturn holds a little bit more of that energy, right? And so, hi, what's up? And so really allowing yourself to look at your patterns, see the patterns that we have, that we live from on a daily basis. It's such a normality for us that we don't even see. We don't even know some of these patterns, and sometimes we don't realize how strong these patterns are. And the reason why I say strong is because it could be just a simple thing, right? You brushing your teeth in the same way, or brushing teeth at the same time, or doing things that, just very orderly, which makes us kind of feel like, we have things in order, which, by the way, it's this sense of control also. What was I going to say? It's this structure and it's this order that we have that creates a safety net, and it holds a deeper level, it holds deeper levels of the 3D systems inside of you. So you may think, oh, this is nothing. Brushing my teeth the same time in the same way at the same time every day doesn't mean anything. But that cannot be further from the truth, because that pattern creates the structure for your own internal 3D and 4D systems. It is that big of a deal. So allowing yourself to, one, become more conscious of this. Become more conscious of your patterns. Become more conscious of when and how much control you, at some level, you have, your mind has, over your entire reality, over how you live. This, Saturn energy, as it shifts signs into Aries, and we talked a little bit about that, when was it, yesterday, the day before, Aries being a fire sign is going to burn all of that, okay? And being that this sign, this transition lasts almost 30 years, there's a lot to that, okay? It is a big, mega, humongous, energy transition, we are going to start to feel it. We're definitely going to feel it, in the next, as we move into Aries and out of Aries again, and then back into Aries again. These next 2 years, couple years, year and a half, are going to be one of the roughest and one of the toughest, because it's almost like, and this example just came through for a reason, for some reason. It's almost like saying, it's almost like, you know, driving a car on the left side, you know, driving in US, Latin America, where we drive on the left side, or we drive on cars where the wheel is on the right, on the left side, right, and obviously the direction of the lanes changes, and all of a sudden oh, this is so funny, and all of a sudden you have to change into a car where the wheel is on the right side and all of the streets are back, not backwards, but are different. It's so funny. I saw a meme, a picture not too long ago about this. Welcome. Hi. I think I'm live right now. Where it shows a picture, I don't know where, somewhere in Europe. I don't remember exactly where. And it said, this is how the roads looked the day after the lanes changed. I don't think it was like the cars all of a sudden, you know, they had the wheel on the opposite end. I don't think that's how it happened. But something happened, and so they were required to drive in the opposite way, or the opposite direction of where, you know, they were used to. And it was chaos. It was a mess. All the cars were actually, they were on opposite ends. Like there were cars driving, you know, opposite directions on both lanes, and there were like actually cars like crossed over, like actually crossed or across the actual street. And I'm looking at this picture and I'm like just in awe of it, because it is a big transition and it takes time to actually adapt to it. Okay, the biggest key here, always, always upon always, is the more you are open to the changes that you're going through right now, internal changes, reality changes, right? Job changes, relationship changes, family changes. And the more you surrender to those changes, the easier it is for you to flow with any kind of change. It doesn't matter what kind of change, how intense the change is. It's all about flowing with the change. And because we still have a lot of resistance to change, and we still have a lot of that pulling back, right, that fight inside of us about change because we're not used to it, it just creates more havoc and it makes it harder for us. It's kind of like what I mentioned the other day. Crises don't exist. It's just that, crisis, no, what was it? What was it? When people resist change, they create a crisis. Like they enter into the feel the crisis. And we're going to be moving into, or this pretty big transition is going to be very palpable. It's going to be felt. We're going to be living through it in many different ways. It will, this is like the transition period, again, because of Aries going into, or Saturn going into Aries tomorrow, and then going back into Pisces, and then going back into Aries next February 2026. It's going to be this, we're in the transition phase, right, for the next 6 months, 8 months or so. And yet it's going to we're going to continue to be in that big transition for the next 2 years. So really take this energy in, really allow yourself to, and you can even look at your placements too. So Saturn is actually one of my ruling planets, and Pisces was also, which is why it was so interesting when I was brushing my teeth. I'm like, oh my God, these are like two of my main ruling planets. And then, it was a ruling planet and a pretty big sign. And then moving into Aries, Saturn, now that Saturn is moving into Aries, out of Pisces and into Aries, it's actually an even bigger sign for me, because of where it is in my birth chart, my astrological chart. So I invite you to also look at that. Look at where this planet is, what Pisces and what Aries represent for you. Like overall, you know, we have Pisces, water, emotions, you know, I want to say like illusion as well. Carries the energy of illusion. It carries the energy of well, it's funny, it carries a big energy of Christianity too, right? The Piscean era, and we're moving out of Piscean era. Oh, that's very interesting. So if you look at, we're leaving the Piscean era, going into Aquarius, right? So moving back a sign, but in this transition, it's Saturn moving out of Pisces into Aries. So it's moving in the opposite direction. Very, very interesting. This also means that the polarity, the polar effect that I talk about, is going to continue to increase. Because we're moving kind of in this opposite direction, but we need to. This is what I talked about in my last workshop. This is our new compass, and this is so necessary for all of us to continue to open up to both ends of the spectrum, to both polar opposite energies, because you're not either or, and you will never be. You're always going to be both. You're always going to be everything. So this is massive. As I expand and as I tune into it, massive. We're moving into Aquarius and we're moving into Aries. Saturn in Aries. I mean, simultaneously, yes, at some level. It's happening at the same time. And everything's going to continue to flip. Everything is going to continue to feel like it's out of balance. But anything that feels out of balance is because it's regaining a new sense of balance. It's this new equilibrium that we're actually anchoring in. And because we actually don't have a lot of reference to what pure balance is, we feel like it's out of balance, and we just continue to perceive that we're going to be out of balance, right? But you have to kind of, during these adjustment periods, it's going to feel a little uncomfortable. It's going to feel like moving through a tight space, not having enough room, and yet you're pushing through that very small eye of the needle kind of feeling to push everything out that is no longer needed, that is no longer your light, that is not your light, that is just really, really heavy, in order for all of us to come out the other side as energy, free, right, transparent. So really, really interesting. Welcome. I don't know if you're here, you're welcome to say hi. I just wanted to come here, talk a little bit about this energy, expand a little bit on this huge transition that we're moving into, and also give yourself some grace throughout this transition. right? Because again, we're going to be moving into Pisces again, and then actually moving into Pisces again around September, and then moving through that for the rest of the year, and until next February, where we transition completely and fully into Aries. So there's going to be, like I mentioned in the last video, there's going to be a lot of quickening, a lot of quick things. Part of the quickening is the burning of the old structures. One of the biggest things about this is what's burning is the old you. Okay? It's dissolving. The old aspect of yourself, the old version of yourself that we latch onto, that we attach to, that we at some level hold a very big gravitational pull towards, is all shifting. Okay? It does become a little bit easier and easier and easier because you flow with change. You open yourself a little bit more to, it's almost, you do have to have like this curiosity energy towards this, and be curious. Oh, what is this leading into? Who am I becoming? What is this new version going to be all about? Right? How am I going to be able to express this new version? What is this? What does this new version hold for me? Being in that honoring space of this old version was a part of me. There was so much that I got to experience as this old version of me. And now I'm ready to experience new things. Now I'm ready to experience, now I'm ready for a new reality, for a new world. You create your own world. Ouch. You, little kitty, you create your subconscious, your higher self, your light body. Hold the energy within everything that you see, sense, touch around you. So it's a really, really, really big deal. This burning, this energy of Aries that's coming through, fire element, is going to, it's going to burn through a lot of things. But also it's going to ignite. So burn, there's this internal subconscious fear towards burning, by the way. And I know, I get that. We all have that. Because of the perception, because of the experience, because what we know the physical element of fire can do to a carbon body. Okay, a carbon-based body, right? It obviously can burn, it can leave a scar, you know, there's obviously, you know, there's so many energies to that create a lot of fear. And so this is going to be a really, really important energy to open up to feel into, and to befriend. Feeling deeper into the core wounds. Feeling deeper into all of those existences and experiences where burn has been deadly. Where fires have been just devastating. And obviously we've had that energy, you know, towards, or in the beginning of this year, very physically, in different parts of the world. But this is a continual energy. This is an energy that lives within us. Okay? When we talk about the sun, and I saw somewhere, I think a tweet on talking a little bit about the sun and how within the construct of the old, there's so much fear around the sun. You know, sun being this, can't be too long the sun, don't stare at the sun, like the list goes on. And yet you are the sun. So at some level, we've taught ourselves to fear part of who we are. Okay, this is just normal, this is just how it's been, this is part of old 3D. Okay. Now, as we continue to open up, as we continue to recognize and feel deeper levels, the anger, the deception, the manipulation, all of these different energies, emotional energies need to come up to the surface so that we can continue to feel. Sorry. Continuing to open up to those frequencies is really, really important. And then moving into deeper, allowing the light to dissolve deeper layers of it, cellular DNA level, so that you're no longer functioning from that hurt, hate, judgment, fight inside of you that just wants to battle it out with the old system. So opening yourself to this energy, continuing to connect to the energy of fire and air, right? Because of the Aquarian energy. What's up? Sorry, I'm being distracted a little bit by cats. Oh, that's why. They're so in tuned. They are, okay. So let's bring a little bit of water, just flowing. Let's flow with that a little bit more. The other energy that I was going to mention is air, because we're obviously moving into air. We're moving into the Aquarian age. Air also moves a lot of movement. There's a lot of shifting. There's a lot of shaking that is going to continually be felt through this air energy to just continually open up to. So air, moving into feeling deeper levels of fear, subconscious fears towards air, towards change, because air brings a lot of change. And then opening up to deeper levels of those subconscious fears you have towards this fire element, because you want to get into a space where your fire is your drive. Your fire is what ignites you. Your fire is what allows you to transfigure, transmute, and transform back into just pure light. Light is everything. And so as we continue to become and embody more of our light, where we are able to shift into whatever form we need to as light to be able to perform, to be able to achieve, to be able to move through, to be able to bring through whatever realities and whatever tools, whatever structures we need to bring through into this existence, into this world for ourselves and for everyone else too. So again, I'm not sure how I'm showing up. You're welcome to say hi if you're here, just so that I know that the chat is working. It's so interesting because I was kind of like, I don't have a lot of time, but I still want to come through. I haven't been actually on YouTube live. Like I haven't actually live streamed directly on YouTube in a while. And so just changing things up, right? It's what this is all about, changing things up, opening up to all of these different things that will continue to activate us. Okay? There will continue to be humongous activations that come through. Okay? And as we continue to move into, we're fully into Aries, Saturn in Aries, there's going to be more of this element to just burn things completely down so that we can continue to reconstruct. Okay. Part of the reconstruction phase happens simultaneously at some level. However, there is still this big energy of continuing to burn deeper within ourselves before we move into deeper levels of alignment, or deeper, more physical forms of reconstruction. Okay. This is all about continuing to focus on you and your world and reconstructing your world and your reality first. Because if we do not allow more of that, and we don't know exactly how to shift and reconstruct our own reality, then we're not going to be able to know exactly how to do it in like bigger ways and in a collective way. So continue to focus on you. This is still a big, big, big decade. We're just in the halfway point, guys. Okay, we still have this 4-year linear pathway that will take us deeper, that will shift more things, that will change absolutely everything. And so just continue to flow with where you are, continue to flow with the changes that are being presented right now to you. And know that you're not alone. Know that we're all here doing this together at some level. You're welcome to reach out to anyone that you feel guided to. It doesn't have to be me. Just continue to open up so that you start to find that resonance, so that you can feel more supportive, so that you can feel part of the community, so you can feel part of this light family. I have a few things for myself, and so just put them in the description below for anyone that would like to join, whatever you feel guided to join, whatever you feel guided to receive. So, gonna wrap it up. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being here during this just huge, huge time in our human history. Very exciting time, actually. If you look at the bigger picture, it's super, super duper exciting, to say the least. So continue to feel deeper into your fears. Continue to feel deeper into the heaviness that is within you. It's not outside. It's not only outside. If you see or perceive something in the external, it's because you already have it inside of you. Okay, and it does take to process owning all of that, because it's deep, because it's heavy, because we're not consciously aware of it. It's the same for most everyone. So you're not alone. Continue to breathe, continue to stay within the breath and within your body, and you're going to start to see more and more how everything aligns, how everything is in divine timing, and how everything is really truly supporting you and us as a whole. So thanks again. We'll see you next time.